There's something about the woods at night. The way the trees creak, the snap of a twig just beyond your flashlight's reach, the feeling you're not alone, and maybe you never were. For over 200 years, people all across North America have told stories of a giant hair-covered creature, walking on two legs, leaving enormous footprints, and vanishing into the forest before anyone could get a clear look. They call it Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and depending on where you live, maybe even the skunk ape or the grass man. But no matter the name, the stories remain eerily similar, and what makes them truly chilling is that many of these sightings have never been explained. Tonight we're going on a deep dive into these stories, the wild, strange, and hair-raising encounters that people have shown for generations. And by the end of this video, you might just find yourself glancing at a tree line a little more carefully. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's dive into some of the longest-standing Bigfoot mysteries in history. Our first stop takes us back over 200 years ago, to the Canadian wilderness. The year is 1811. Explorer David Thompson was one of the most accomplished cartographers and surveyors of his time. Think of him as Canada's GPS before GPS was a thing. He was mapping the vast snow-covered regions of Alberta, surviving brutal winters, dangerous rivers, and the occasional hungry bear. But nothing could have prepared him for what he found on some frozen morning in the Athabasca River. I did not say that right, but I'm just going to roll with it, okay? Thompson, a careful, methodical man, documented everything in his journals. So when he spotted a long trail of enormous footprints in the snow, each measuring roughly 14 inches long and 8 inches wide, the 4-foot stride between them, it was no casual observation. These prints weren't misshapen, partial animal tracks, or snow deformations. They were crisp, clean, and unmistakably human-like, except for the size. These were feet belonging to something far larger than any man Thompson has ever met. In his writings, Thompson described 5 clear toes on each foot, the deep impression in the snow indicating incredible weight in the unnerving way the tracks crossed areas with no normal person could have reached out without leaving signs of a struggle. Yet these prints strolled through the waist-deep snow as casually as if it were a summer meadow. Thompson followed these tracks for a long time, hoping to glimpse of that creature, but they vanished into a dense frozen woods. In those days, there was no such thing as a Bigfoot legend or popular culture. Yet here was a man of science recording what appeared to be the trail of an unknown bipedal giant. Though no one ever claimed responsibility or found another witness, Thompson's journals survived to this day, making this one of the earliest documented Bigfoot-like encounters in North American history. And let's be honest, if a mountain-sized snow beast wanted to borrow my trail mix, I'd let him. Our next story takes us to the rugged wilderness near Mount St. Helens, Washington. Long before the famous volcanic eruption of 1980, in 1924, a group of 5 gold prospectors headed deep into the woods to try their luck at striking at the rich. A little cha-ching, if you know what I mean. Little did they know, they'd be lucky to survive that night. The men, Fred Beck, Gabe Lefevre, John Patterson, and 2 others built themselves a small, sturdy log cabin on the edge of the deep gorge now famously known as 8 Canyon. During their stay, they claimed to see a large ape-like figures watching them from a distance several times. I don't know where this accent came from, but I'm gonna roll with it. The creature standing upright on 2 legs appeared to be covered in dark, shaggy hair and showed an unsettling interest in the men's activities, like passing the football and roasting the marshmallows out on the campfire in the backyard of the cabin, passing the pigskin, okay? One night, as darkness fell through the forest, the men huddled inside the cabin and suddenly rocks began raining down on the roof and walls. Huge, heavy stones that sounded like they would be thrown by something with serious muscle. Like Hugh Jackman. Okay? But the thing was, Hugh Jackman wasn't alive. The men armed themselves with rifles, shooting at the shapes as they saw moving outside the windows and doorways, like any sane person would, okay? If I'm getting rocks chucked at me, I'm shooting at everything that moves, okay? With my 9mm rifle. 9mm. Forget I said that. According to Fred Beck, the attack lasted most of the night. At one point, a large, hairy hand reached to the cabin. There's a little slot, a little open slot. Whoop! Try to grab him and kidnap him. Probably eat him. I don't know if Bigfoots are cannibals, but actually, when they were cannibals, unless they were eating each other. We're not Bigfoots, so I don't know why I said cannibals. And it nearly grabbed one of the men. Terrified, they barricaded the cabin as the best they could and continued firing whenever they saw movement in the pitch black darkness. Illuminated only by flickering lantern light, the figures were difficult to see, but the men insisted they were far too large and upright to be bears. And plus, last time I checked, bears don't throw rocks. When morning finally came, the attack stopped. The men cautiously emerged from the cabin to find massive human-like footprints, over 18 inches in length. Shaken, they packed their things and left the site, reporting the incident to the local sheriff. Because they're not complete idiots. News spread quickly, and the area became known as 8 Canyon, while skeptics over the years have tried to explain away the story as either an exaggeration or a case of frightened miners mistaking shadows. The details remain unnervingly consistent. The prospectors swore their story for the rest of their lives, and no one ever definitely explained what happened that night. And if you ask me, any creature strong enough to throw boulders at your house probably isn't stopping by for tea and cookies. So, our next story takes us to 1967. And if you know Bigfoot, you know where I'm going with this one. The Patterson-Gimlin film. The Patterson-Gimlin film is probably the most heard of and recognizable Bigfoot footage to ever exist. I mean, just look at it. When you think of Bigfoot, you think of this picture in this video that these two men took, allegedly, of a real Bigfoot sighting. And I'm not saying it was true, I'm just trying to give my 2 cents on it, as like I said before. So it was October 20th in Bluff Creek, California. A calm, crisp day in the woods. It's the kind of day you expect to see some deer, birds, or possibly a tourist saying, "Where's the bathroom?" Like when you're like walking by and the tourist comes and it's like, "Where's that bathroom?" I'm like, "Dude, it's over there, okay? Go use it." I don't know why I was trying to go with that. But 2 men on this day claimed to have captured Bigfoot. Sasquatch. The cryptid we've been talking about this entire video. Roger Patterson was an amateur filmmaker and Bigfoot enthusiast. He was fantasized by stories of the creature for years. And plus, he even wrote a book about it, okay? That's how dedicated he was to this cryptid, okay? Okay? Where's the book about the New Jersey Devil? Okay, there probably actually is a book about the New Jersey Devil. When I do research on that, I'll probably find that one out. That fall, he convinced his good buddy that he hiked a lot with, went on a lot of road trips, Bob Gimlin, to join him on a horseback expedition. So they headed into the rugged forest of Northern Carolina in search of signs of this legendary beast. 2 rode deep into the wilderness of Bluff Creek. They carried a 19mm and a pump shotgun. Nah, they didn't carry a pump shotgun. And they obviously carried the camera because how else would they get the footage? They also brought their horses and probably more snacks than they cared to admit. No. Gotta stay energized on the hunt for Bigfoot, as they say. And then in the early afternoon, as they rounded the bend of the creek, something moved ahead in their line of vision. Something moved. It was about 80 to 100 feet away, around there. It was a large, upright, hair-covered creature. It was casually walking upon the open clearing and stood about 7 feet tall. It was covered in a slick, dark, brown fur and moved on two legs like a human, but far bulkier than any human. Except Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. And had longer arms. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Nah, he doesn't have long arms. Roger Patterson, without missing a beat, jumped off his straddle horse, grabbed the movie camera, and began filming. Immediately. Because of course he did. He was trying to find this thing and brought a camera. Of course he's going to film immediately. Why did I even write that? The resulting footage shows a creature, as I just described. You can go back in the video if you missed the description there. Walking across the open path and looks back at them about 2 to 3 times. And is one of the most famous videos ever recorded. Not even just of Bigfoot, just phenomenal piece of film right there. Phenomenal. Known today as Patty, the creature in the film appears to show muscle movement under the fur, a natural gait and proportions that some experts have argued would be extremely difficult for a man in a suit to replicate. So, in this, I'm going to talk about a man named Bob Herminus. One of a lot of men to have claimed to be in the suit of a Bigfoot. Now, I'm not going to say he's lying and that it wasn't a man in a suit, but he was lying. I know I just said I wasn't going to say that, but I said it. He was lying, straight up. The guy's a big fat liar. Okay? First of all, he said it was a completely different area. And then when it was confirmed to be in Bluff Creek, he tried to argue that it was in Bluff Creek, even though he said it was in a completely different area. Okay? So already, 5 seconds in this guy's story, he's just wrong. He's just mixing up his story. Okay? He also claimed that Roger Patterson made the suit that he was in, supposedly. He wasn't in the suit. Trust me, he was not in the suit. I'm not saying there wasn't another man in the suit, but trust me, Bob Herminus was not in that suit. Okay? He was just trying to make a buck. Okay? He was trying to make a buck instead of being shot with a... I was trying to think of something because he was like scared to get shot. That was like his... He said that a lot, I think, that he was scared to get shot. But, yep, we're going to move past that a little bit. But, yeah, Roger Patterson, he claimed he made the suit, but then a film director in North Carolina said that he gave Patterson the suit for a little bit of cha-ching. A little bit of this. A little bit of this. But never showed a receipt to prove it. Okay? Okay? You can't claim you've sold something and then not have the receipt. Okay? Okay? Not allowed. Not allowed. You're lying. You're lying, dude. You're lying. You're straight up lying. He also claimed to make like 100 of these things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. But then when asked to replicate it, he never could. You're telling me you made 100 of these things and then couldn't replicate it? What? Oh, sir, yes, I made 100 of these t-shirts. Oh, you want one? Sorry, but I cannot replicate it. I'm sorry. Sorry. That's pretty much what he just did, okay? That's pretty much what this guy did. Like, what, did you lose the skill to replicate it? Like, what happened? Did you, like, what? I don't even know. How can you not replicate it? So, yeah. Bob Hermanus was definitely lying. Okay. He says he walks like Bigfoot. Not that hard to fake a walk, okay? I could act like I could walk like Bigfoot, pal, okay? I'll do it right now. I won't do it right now, but I could. This is not cutting to me walking like Bigfoot, okay? But yeah, so, of course, people have said this is a hoax, especially after Bob Hermanus' claims. That little liar, okay, buddy? You little liar? Okay, you didn't think I would catch you, did you? But I did. Little liar. Little liar. Okay. Liar. Okay. Okay. So yeah, some insist it's a man in a fursuit. Others point to details like visible muscle movement, the proportion of the arms and the legs, and the creature's oddly shaped, natural-looking feet as signs of the real deal. Even legendary Hollywood effects artists like Rick Baker and Stan Winston, who worked on films like Planet of the Apes and Jurassic Park, couldn't agree on whether it was fake or the real deal. Bob Hermanus, you were lying. I don't know why I'm back into this, but he's a little liar, okay? He's a liar, okay? And I'm not gonna stop saying he's a liar. Sadly, Roger Patterson died in 1972 from cancer. Takes away many people. Very sad. Sorry for your loss to the Patterson family. Okay, I feel like I'm saying sorry for a lot of losses in the story, but it just has to be said, you know? He never wavered from his claim that the footage was the real deal. And Bob Gimlin, now well into his 90s, has also never changed his story. And let's be honest. If you're going to fake a Bigfoot sighting, you'd probably make sure it wasn't casually strolling away and forgot to pay its drive-thru order. Okay? Okay. I'm not keeping that in. Why'd I even write that? What was I thinking? To this day, the Patterson-Gimlin film remains the most famous alleged Bigfoot sighting ever captured. Unconfirmed, unexplained, and still debated for half a century. If you want to hear my take on it, too bad. Okay. Our next story takes us to the great state of Ohio, baby. Ohio. Known for the Pauls and being weird. I think I show speeds from there too. Don't quote me on that though. This was around 1970. We're talking about the Ohio Grassman sightings. Very popular sightings out there in Ohio. They say some goofy things happen in Ohio. I think this is what started it. The Grassman. Not even Bigfoot. It was a man made out of grass. I'm lying. It was a Sasquatch. Allegedly. Okay, allegedly. Tucked deep into the heart of Ohio's rural countryside is a path of thick forest and winding back roads where something strange has been lurking there for decades. Locals call it the Grassman, Ohio's version of Bigfoot. Now, while it might sound like a mascot for a lawn care company, this towering, hairy figure is no jokes to the folks who've claimed they've seen it. Ohio people don't mess around, okay? Okay? You're gonna call them liars? Huh? Huh? You're gonna call the great people of the great state of Ohio liars? Huh? Is that what you're gonna do? Huh? Well, if you were going to, then you better look at me straight, kid. I'm from Ohio. No, I'm not from Ohio. But if I was, I'd be mad that you'd be calling me a liar, okay? 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 So don't. It was the summer of 1970 when the first widely publicized that's not going in. Encounter happened near a small town of Minerva, Ohio. The Caton family, who lived in a quiet country road, began noticing odd things on their property. They heard strange, low-pitched howls echoing through the woods at night. This is my take on what those probably sound like. They probably heard like an elderly wolf. It probably wasn't even a Bigfoot. It was probably like an elderly wolf. If it was howling. Okay, I've never heard of a Bigfoot howling, but they might. Who knows? They might. But yeah. They found enormous footprints, possibly from an enormous elderly wolf. They found it near their home and noticed their dogs acting terrified because they saw a big elderly wolf. I'd be terrified too. And they refused to go near the tree line, okay? Okay? At least the grass man was nice. I mean, at least the elderly wolf was nice, okay? They want to go past the tree line, I don't think. Okay? One evening, the sun dipped down to the tree line, and Evelyn Clayton, her daughter, and several neighbors, they spotted a massive elderly wolf. No, they didn't. A hairy creature standing just beyond the tree line. It was around 7 feet tall, broad-shouldered. I don't know why. I don't know why I tried to fix that. I said that right. Covered in a matted, dark hair, slick, like every other one. Can't make this stuff up. And had a foul, musty odor, okay? Smelled like a skunk just ate a burrito. And it carried through the evening air, okay? Everyone was smelling this stuff. Like, dude, who's farting back there? Come on, dude. Bro, tell your skunk to start pooping. Okay? Dude. Okay? For several minutes, the figure stood there. Just stood there. Okay? They didn't know where it was. Okay? Are you gonna judge it for that? Huh? 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 No, you're not. That's what I thought, pal. It just, like, it's just staring at the house. I don't know. Like, dude, stare at your own house, dude. You're staring at mine? It ain't for sale, pal. That was cringe, I know, I'm sorry. It wasn't moving. Wasn't blinking. Just watching. It would probably win many staring contests if it wasn't blinking for as long as it said it was there. It wasn't blinking. What? What? That just takes away every chance that that's a guy, okay? Just sit there for several minutes, not blink, okay? Do it right now. If you want to say it was fake, stand there, stare at your house without blinking for several minutes. Do that. Do it. Do it. Huh? Okay. The family, understandably spooked, because who wouldn't it be, grabbed whatever they could find, flashlights, a shotgun, and I'm not even lying this time, and a couple of brave neighbors, also with shotguns. Possibly, maybe. I don't know if they had, like, a lot of shotguns, or, like, they just brought one. How much shotguns does it take to kill a Bigfoot? Should be the real question. I'm thinking a couple. I'm not gonna lie. And they headed outside with their shotguns in hand, locked and loaded. By the time they reached the edge of the woods, the creature had vanished. Gone. If I had to think of a reason, it's all the shotgun. Okay? If I was staring at someone's house and they came out with a shotgun, I'm gone. I'm gone. You're staying? No, you're not. But it was leaving behind a trail of... It left behind a trail of crushed grass and snapped branches, okay? That town in Ohio might have went through a tornado or something. That was the reason there was branches and... Well, branches. I mean, I guess grass is always on the ground, so... But the branches part, you get what I mean. Because they're not absolute dummies, they call the police. Because of course they did. Okay? If you see a 7-foot man who won't even blink, stare at your house for several minutes, and then leave once you grab your pump shotgun, I'd be calling the police too, okay? And the officers reportedly found large footprints near a gravel pit behind the Caton's home. Not the canyon, it's the Caton's home, okay? The Caton's home. More sightings followed throughout that dark night. It wasn't. There's no more sightings than that. It was throughout the summer. With other residents reporting a similar hairy, upright figure around the same stretch of countryside. Despite investigations and searchers, no explanation was never found. Never. Okay? Never an explanation, okay? That's pretty odd. Okay? How are they getting away still? Okay? I need 100 men, 20-foot perimeter search, okay? We're gonna find this thing. We're gonna kill it with our pump shotguns. Okay? And then we're gonna bury it. Like you would your dog after it died. Sorry if you had your dog died recently. Sorry if it did. If it didn't, say hey to your dog. Bring your dog here. Come on, bring him. Hi, dog. Hey. The sightings faded as the years passed, but the legend of the Ohio grassman quite never left. Stories of rock-throwing creatures and the eerie howls continue to surface the rural Ohio to this day. And whether it's a lone Bigfoot, a hidden population, or an elderly wolf, the local grassman remains one of the most famous regional Bigfoot legends in the United States. So if you want to encounter a grassman, head to Ohio. Provo Canyon, Utah. A place known for its towering cliffs, crystal clear rivers, and scenic hiking trails. It's also one of the spots where your phone signal mysteriously disappears right after the sun goes down. And suddenly, every twig snap sounds like a horror movie soundtrack. In October of 2012, a group of friends hiking near the canyon would stumble across something that would give them and the internet serious chills. The group, out for a casual hike, was enjoying the fresh air and the autumn leaves. They had a camera on them, and like most people on hikes, they probably acted to be out of breath while getting an Instagram pic. As they rounded a bend in the trail, one of them spotted something unusual in the clearing ahead. They quickly zoomed in with their camera and caught sight of a massive, dark, hairy figure crouching low to the ground behind a fallen tree. At first, the friends thought it might be a bear because these situations, it's either a bear or you wish it was a bear. But then the creature stood up. When I said stood up, I mean, stood up on its 2 legs. And you might be saying, Jacob, yeah, the bear can stand on 2 legs. I've done it all the time. But are bears 7 feet tall? No, they're not. This thing was. It was broad-shouldered, covered in slick and thick dark hair, like all the other ones, and moving with a kind of bipedal ease no bear on earth would ever have managed without a top hat and a cane. The friends could barely believe what they just caught on camera. We see the creature glance at their direction, which was the moment exactly every person in that group decided it's time to exit stage left. They turned and ran, their camera still rolling as they stumbled down a trail. Because if movies have taught us anything, it's that running while you're holding a camera always makes things look spookier. When they reached a safe distance, the group posted the footage online. Almost immediately, it went viral. Skeptics claimed that it was a prank, a person in a suit, or a clever setup for a YouTube video. But those who've hiked Provo Canyon at night, and there are plenty of Bigfoot reports from that region going back decades, weren't so quick to dismiss it. In fact, Utah is famous for very, very big Bigfoot sightings, especially in the Wasatch Range in the Utah mountains. Reports of a giant hair-covered 7-foot-tall creature peering through cabin windows. By the way, that's terrifying, okay? If I peeked through my window right now and saw that thing staring at me, I'd grab my pump shotgun and shoot him. Okay? No, I wouldn't, because I don't have a pump shotgun. And I'd probably go to jail if I did that. And those things that are peering through the window, when they walked outside and were gone, they leave giant, eerie footprints. Bit like big ones, like maybe like this side. Look at that. Big footprints, okay? If I saw a human with those big of footprints, I'd be like, you're not human. You're not human. And they let out blood-curdling howls like the grass man. Those went back to the pioneer days, okay? Old times, okay? Old times. The Provo Canyon video just happened to be one of the clearest, most nerve-wracking modern-day clips ever recorded in the area. To this day, no one has officially identified who or what was in that video. No prank confession, no costume revealed, no suspicious local teenager coming forward to admit a scarring hikers for TikTok clout. Just a dark, towering figure caught on film for a few seconds and then gone. And if you ask me, if I saw a Bigfoot-sized creature come out from behind a log, I wouldn't just run. I'd probably set the world record for fastest running down a mountain in Utah. There's probably not even a record for that, but if there was, I'd break it. Okay? And this brings us to our last story. In 1999. And you might be saying, Jacob, why are we going back in time? I thought we were going forward. I thought this was like a timeline thing. If you were paying attention. But this might be one of the craziest Bigfoot stories to ever exist. Nevada. Known for its dry desert heat, casinos, and Area 51 memes. But back in the summer of 1999, a wildfire near the town of Battle Mountain gave firefighters a front row seat to something they'd never expected. On that hot August day, a wildfire ripped through miles of dry brush, threatening nearby homes and wildlife. Dozens of firefighters worked out through choking smoke and blistering heat to control the blaze. And while they expected to run into deer, coyotes, or maybe the occasional rattlesnake. What they reportedly encountered was something right out of the Cryptid documentary. According to accounts shared with the investigators and Cryptid researchers years later, one team of firefighters radioed in about a strange figure moving through the smoke. At first, they said it might be a badly injured bear, but as they approached it, they realized whatever it was walking upright. And this creature was massive. Again, like all the other ones, 7 foot, matte black fur, slicked down. But this one was also severely burned from the wildfires. The firefighters were stunned. They claimed the creature didn't growl, roar, or act aggressively. It simply raised one hand, almost as if it was surrendering, and then allowed itself to be treated for burns. And according to the story, emergency crews tended to its injuries, applying salve to badly... It helped its scorched burns on its hands and its legs, while the creature sat quietly nearby. But here's where it gets even stranger. Witnesses claims that as soon as the higher authorities, government officials and military personnel, arrived at the scene, the area is locked down, radios went silent, crews were ordered to clear out, and a large military-style transport vehicle arrived to quietly take the creature away. So instead of announcing this out to the public, they quietly take it away, allegedly, in this military vehicle and shut everything down so no one would know about it. And rumors spread that those involved were told to never speak of this incident again. Official reports never mentioned a strange upright creature being treated at the site, and no names were released, and for years it was considered just another backwoods campfire story. No one, this was never really like a big thing. It was kind of just like something that people put behind like themselves, oh, it's kind of like weird, but we're not going to really worry about it because we have no evidence of anything. But in the early 2000s, an anonymous witness believed to be one of the firefighters on duty that day leaked the details of the cryptid investigator. The account described not only the creature's injuries and behavior, but also the sudden suspicious government presence and the eerie way the entire event was scrubbed from the official records. So they came out about a lot of things that happened that night, which was obviously a weird night, and possibly a creature that was hurt from burns was treated and taken away without people knowing at all. So this person who was, I guess, a firefighter that was there that day in Nevada on that horrible day with the wildfires, who encountered this creature, tries to give out the information that the military and government never really gave out. And to this day, no names have officially surfaced, no photos have ever been leaked, and the story remains to be bizarre and compelling cryptid encounter associated with government involvement. And you know how that stuff is. It's all all the UFO, the stuff with the government and stuff, like how they keep all those things secret, like they have that UFO files that they'll never release to the public and stuff like that. So people are like, was it real? Was it just a rumor? Or just firefighters too exhausted in the heat seeing things? But no one knows for sure exactly what happened that night. But if you ask me, if any creature that calmly accepts medical treatment in the middle of a wildfire deserves a round of applause. Or at least a lifetime supply of aloe vera. If you had to ask me. And there you have it. Some of the strangest, creepiest, and downright head-scratching Bigfoot encounters ever recorded. From burned forest giants calmly getting first aid to grainy films at midnight rock-hurling brawls in the woods, these stories have haunted campfires in small towns for over 2 centuries. Now, maybe after watching this video, you've come to a little closer to believing that something unknown might be really out there. A creature that walks like a man, lives in the shadows, and leaves behind nothing but a giant footprints and unsolved mysteries. Or maybe you're still convinced that these are all tall tales, pranksters, and people seeing things after one too many marshmallows around the campfire. I would say, either way, one thing's for sure. These stories keep coming. New sightings, new footprints, new videos, and new legends added to the ever-growing pile of what-if lurking in our forests. And honestly, I kind of love that. Because a world with a little mystery is a whole lot more. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or just here for the creepy stories and bad Bigfoot puns, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Stay curious, stay safe, and maybe, just maybe, if you're hiking through the woods and hear a twig snap where there shouldn't be one, don't forget to look up from your phone. Okay? I know everyone hiking watch this video when they hike. Huh? Oh. Texting away, okay? See you next time for more cryptid deep dives. Thank you.